Okay, we are live on YouTube. The meeting is yours, Mr. Wickert. Let me
Yeah.
know if you need anything else.
All right, thank you. I'd like to call the Parks and Recreation Committee regular meeting on Monday, January 25th, 2021 at 6:05. Roll call, please.
Wickert,
Present?
You are muted. You can mute or unmute yourself by pressing star 6.
Garbett,
So Ellen,
Yes,
that's why
here.
we need you to get off.
Cast,
Here.
Henderson,
Here.
Pesh,
Here.
Burkheiser,
Here.
Champagne.
Here.
Thank you.
Communications. Sarah, do we have any communications? We probably don't have any down in Florida.
Nope,
Look at the roads, Sarah.
I am.
Okay. We'll go to approval of minutes from November 23rd, 2020.
Motion.
So moved or second,
Second,
whatever.
Okay, motion by Pat, second by Garbett. All in favor of approving minutes from November 23rd? Say aye.
Aye.
Oh, we have roll call. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yes, roll call on every motion.
Yep.
Pesh,
Yes.
Garbett,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Wickert,
Yes.
Champagne,
Yes.
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Cast.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried unanimously.
Okay, we have public comments. Does anyone need to get a hold of Brian there to or raise your hand or whatever you need to do to get a public comment in?
We have no callers at the moment with their hands raised. We have 4 callers on the line, actually 5. If anybody would like to speak, press star 9 on your keypad, and that will raise your hand. Okay, no hands raised.
All right, we'll go right into the agenda then. Item number 1, League and Community Service Organization reports. Chris is on first. Go ahead, Chris.
So just to touch base, I sent those out to you. I know Chris submitted one and Josh submitted one. And the Friends of Buyers submitted one. And then I do have one to add for Lakes Area Hawks and the Horse Farm when you're ready. So go ahead,
Okay.
Chris, if you have anything to add.
If it's all right, Mr. Wicker, I'll just defer to the written to save time. How's that?
That sounds good. All right, so Debbie puts those in the minutes then.
Well, Chris.
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
then I have a question. Then I have a question. Can you sort of let us know what the damage was or what was the deal with that? I just see damage to field 3. How the heck did they even get in there? Is it
They
with an
drove-
automobile?
Yes, it looked like it was a large vehicle, probably a pickup truck, but that's just a guess. Based on the width of the
Is our
tires.
gate up yet?
Yes, the gate is up. The gate is locked. At the time this happened, the chain was still across that entrance and the gate was there. They drove on the sidewalk adjacent to the pavilion and went through the sidewalk path that goes to the field there. And since Emily has had Mark put up a temporary chain and lock there.
So we're looking at putting bollards in right there. We just need to make sure that that's going to work with the trees right there also.
Okay.
There still won't be a way for them to get around.
You all set, Bob?
I am, thank you.
All right. How about Tim Bailey next?
Hi, Tim Bailey, Interlakes Girls Softball. Sorry I didn't submit a report to you. I don't have a lot to report. Our registrations are down. I assume it's due to COVID and people not sure what's going on, but we are proceeding right now as if we're going to have a somewhat normal season. We've done some extra advertising with the schools to try to bring up our registrations there, and it's kind of typical year after year. It seems like they get later and later and later. So we've still got about another month or a little bit more of open registration. But other than that, that's about it.
Any questions for Tim? Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Let's go to Josh at Lakes.
Yeah, I'll also defer to the document that I sent out. So if you have any other questions, I'm here.
Okay. Any questions for Josh? All right, moving on. We don't have anybody, we have a report from Friends of Buyers. Did Ellen want to make any additional reports?
I believe that either Dean or Karen are call-ins. And we have somebody with their hand raised also. I don't know who that caller is.
Would you like to call on them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Caller 4511, last four of the telephone number. Press *6 to unmute.
Yes, this is Dean from Friends of Buyers. Basically we're just normal operations in the wintertime. We got the barn open on Sundays from 12 to 5, and we've had a lot of photographers and photographing the wildlife, the ducks primarily. We did a cleanup of the farmhouse about a month ago. It's our first time in nearly a year. It was very dirty. So we did a pretty good job inside. We'd like to go back shortly, maybe in a month or so, and do some more cleaning. It should be something done on a regular basis, and maybe, with the permission of Emily, do some painting projects inside there also. We got some flaking paint and that kind of thing, and all would coordinate with what the restoration plans are down the road.
So I got a question, Tim.
Okay, go ahead.
Dean, this is Bob Burkheiser, since I don't think you have a screen. Do you have your, I'll call it spring cleanup dates? Generally speaking, you bring WHAM in and those type things, and I'm trying to be a little more proactive and schedule some of the Boy Scouts to come in and help with that, or at least give them that option. Do you have those dates yet?
No, not yet. They canceled most of this past year. I will call and see if they do have any dates in mind, in coordination with the state mandates and so forth with the virus thing and all that. So I will call and I'll let you know if we can get some dates going.
Thank you.
We all set?
Yep. So we have Mike here from the Mountain Bike Association also to do a report.
Okay.
Sorry, I also didn't submit an update. There's really not much to talk about in the wintertime. We don't do much work. Things are in good shape. Was out there last week. No real issues to note. Snow conditions have kind of sucked, so not a ton of biking, but there's definitely been a lot of people out there. One thing I'd like to talk about maybe in the next meeting or a little bit more in depth is I brought up a couple meetings ago, but haven't followed up with you guys. In order to make progress on the boardwalk and bridge to access the east property for the trail that we worked with Tim Slaybaugh a while ago to put in. Our next step was a loop back. We were instructed by Jay to go back through Eagle to secure or discuss the need for wetlands and other permits. In order for the MCMBA to initiate those discussions with Eagle, previously the DEQ, we need an affidavit from the township that allows us to actually initiate those discussions because it's not our property. So we just like to figure out how to work forward or how to move forward with you guys, with Jay or whoever we need to start those discussions with Eagle here in the spring, so we can start getting a good picture of how to move forward there.
So a question with that. I know that when Tim brought it to us, the township had an issue with the design of the bridge. Has that been corrected so that it meets our ordinance?
So we
standard?
went back on a few different iterations. Where I recall we left it with Jay was we actually did secure a permit or were granted a permit for the bridge, but it was a boardwalk that Jay wouldn't grant the permit for
Okay,
because we didn't have engineering data to show that it would last, as long as they expected it to. Then because the other part that came up with that was he wanted us to loop back with Eagle. So the original discussion back with Zoner was we didn't need to, and then we did. So we kind of put everything on hold because if we had to go back to Eagle for the boardwalk, we wanted to make sure we circled back with the bridge as well.
all right, let me circle around with Jay and I'll get in touch with you so that we can get that ball rolling.
Perfect, thank you.
Do we have any more league and community
I have two that I need to read in.
Okay.
From Pete Lesnar for Lakes Area Hawks, says we are currently working with Riddell in order to get the newest, most safest helmets ordered. Also for the reconditioning of the cycled helmets that are still able to be reconditioned. Over $8,000 has been spent for helmets only. The one-year deal with Pop Warner Football League was not a good experience at all, and they do not recommend that league to anyone interested in actually teaching youth football. They are continuing with close communication with Michigan Youth Football and Cheer, the best youth league in the state. We remain committed to having 4 levels of football and 3 levels of cheer in the upcoming year. Pete has decided that 2020 was his last year of coaching at any level, but still remains as president of the Hawks organization, most likely for life. He says all their bills are paid and everyone is healthy in their organization that he's aware of. So that's his. And then I have for Windmill Farms, this is from Carrie. They had an issue with the coyote. He says the problem coyote we had has not been seen for several weeks. We assume he's no longer in the area. Lessons have been steady and growing. We have several new students starting with interest in middle school equestrian teams. We are waiting to hear from the schools and the MIHA as to how the competitions will be organized this season. The improvements and upgrades being made to the farm are greatly appreciated, including the time and effort being put forth by the members of the Township's Horse Farm Subcommittee. And she's on, so if you have any questions, you can let her know. And then to touch base on what she's talking about is the Horse Farm Subcommittee. Is we do have a subcommittee within the township that consists of myself, Jay James, Melly Phillips, our treasurer, Bob Burkheiser, our trustee, and George Weber, our trustee. And we have had meetings with Carrie to set priorities as far as repair goes. So we are working on getting some bids back. Jay sent some RFPs out. We're hoping to have those bids back to present to the township board next month. So that's it. Long-winded.
So the only thing I'll add to that, just for information, is things that we've looked at and identified that you may or may not be aware of, but some of the fence posts as you go around need to be replaced. Roofing on the barns. Help me out here. There's some water issues with some of the wells that are leaking. Things like that we're looking at. So
so I can read through the list.
There's a report.
Yeah, I can read through it real quick, just so everybody knows. So we said our first priority is with the roof. There, especially over the observation room, there's a lot of leaking going on there. Second was drainage in the pasture area, but that has been fixed since then. We just still need to deal with the water well issue. Priority 3 was with the well and water was to move the well. That is, the well's not currently located in the house, but the bladder of the well is located in the house. We want to move that and install or relocate 5 hydrants to the utility room in the barn. So everything will be located within one building. Priority 4 was the fencing. Priority 5 was observation room, township to rebuild the ramp to make it ADA accessible and repair the electric in there. Number 6 was also observation room, but this was going to fall on Carrie and her crew, and that was to do all interior improvements. Number 7 was to install the ADA accessible bathroom. Currently, we'll put an ADA compliant outhouse in. Number 8 priority, mobile home and trailer. So there's currently a mobile home and trailer on the property that needs to be removed. That would be Carrie's responsibility. Number 9 was property electric, was to move the main circuit box from the house and just to do an inspection to make sure things are up to code and safe. And then number 10 was to have discussion about the house, if we're going to remove it, demo the property, or what the future holds for that.
So we're on number 2 now, Emily?
As long as nobody has any questions, yes.
Okay, I don't hear any questions, so we'll go ahead and number 2, Parks and Recreation Department report.
So I tried something new this month and I typed something up for you. I figured figured that would help keep me organized and get all the information out to you. So things are changing as far as the executive orders go. So the senior center was actually able to open up for indoor exercise. So last week was our first week holding yoga and Tai Chi classes, and I was surprised at how many people were still interested in coming, and we're continuing to get those phone calls. We are continuing to serve meals there. We are gearing up to start AARP taxes, which those are going to be a bit different this year. Not many sites wanted to host AARP taxes, so we were able to secure them every Monday from now through April 12th, with the exception of President's Day in February. So what they're going to do is, instead of coming in and preparing the taxes in front of the senior, they're going to do a drop-off service. So they'll spend a half hour scanning the senior's documents in, making sure they have everything. The senior will leave. They will return the following week at the same time slot appointment to finalize their taxes and get those picked up. So we're just busy. Does anybody have any questions or specifics?
So on your report,
Yeah.
You had the, at least for the year for 2020, the rides for People Express.
Yep.
Do you know what it was we ended up paying for in 2020
I want to say
for 2,100 rides?
it was 26,000, something along those lines. I can get the exact number and send it to you.
I mean, I know it's not a fair year, so I'm
Yeah.
gathered that, but I do think at some point we need to evaluate.
We were definitely under what we had budgeted.
Well, I know folks pay a certain amount, but basically the township pays a certain amount.
Yes.
And is it per ride, or are we
Yes.
paying like a monthly fee
It's per ride.
plus whatever? So that doesn't matter whether we did 2,000 rides or whether we did 10,000 rides. That the amount per ride is the same.
Correct. And once we consistently reach, I want to say it's right off the top of my head, it's like $7,000
Whatever.
roughly, then we would go to a monthly flat fee. But we want to make sure that we hit that threshold consistently, and it's not just 1 month and then the next 2 months, we're only,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I thought we had a flat fee and we were being charged a certain amount, and we're doing, we're paying like $50 a ride, for crying out loud. You can almost, whatever. Okay.
Yep.
And our Dodge Park restroom, is that going to be heated?
No.
It's not, right? I don't remember. Okay. Well, the one in West Bloomfield, I want to let you know that's heated.
Well,
I was over there today. Just to let you
that
know.
nice and fancy.
That was pretty.
Glad
That
you're-
was pretty
Bob.
nice.
Thanks for rubbing that in.
Will the water be on in the winter?
No.
I doubt it's probably going to be closed.
Not going to heat it. You're not going to have the water running, so.
Yeah.
All right.
Waterless toilets. Don't we have waterless toilets out there now?
Yeah.
Oh, the
No.
forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right. Moving on to number 3, Township Board Report. Bob?
Yeah. So I have, our last meeting was fairly, relatively short, let's say it that way. So we had some basic discussions, but I think the things that would be of interest to the Parks and Rec is that we had a presentation from Lystic, I think that's how you say it, systems, because at some point, currently our wastewater goes into the wastewater treatment. Eventually it dries, we dump it into these big old trucks and we transport it. The dumping fees are becoming increasingly expensive. They've gone up 10, 15, 30% over each year. So while we have an unknown amount that we don't know how much that's ultimately going to cost, we are looking into some other potential options. This is one of the options that we're looking at that would take our, I'll say, wastewater. At some point, I'll call it sludge. It would get dumped into a tank. It gets pasteurize, and they add some high volume potassium hydroxide and some other stuff. And long story short, magic, alakazam, it turns into fertilizer. And it becomes a Class A fertilizer that can be used by farmers, not for plants, fruit, and vegetables, but for feed corn or whatever you would feed to pigs and cows and things like that. So that is a process we're looking at. One, I think it's interesting. Two, we have to decide. I mean, there's a rough bill on that of about $5.5 million. So we're looking at that at the township board level, not just that process, but other processes. So that's one thing that came up that I thought might be of interest, since it's over at roughly near Snowy Ridge. And the other is there was a traffic barrier discussion for Cascade Street. That's over by Union Lake and Cooley Lake there, that little street that cuts through a neighborhood that during high volume times is a problem for the residents. And so we had a discussion on trying to turn it one way for a certain time frame. So anyway, that discussion and vote was happening, and there's a potential that we're moving that direction. And then the last is that the township hall is on septic and we're having some issues. So we are going to be connecting the township hall to the sewer system. So that was the exciting conversations that we had at our board a couple weeks ago. Any questions on anything else and anything at the board level? I think I saw that Larry's on also. So Linda.
Yeah, I was just curious, all those new houses over there by the township hall are connected, are they not? Weren't they forced to connect? So it's not going to
Sure, yes.
not going to be too big a bill because you're not the first one starting it, right?
No, they're because of all the DDA stuff, the infrastructure is there. We just are running I'll call them our sewer lines, whatever, from wherever it is in the township hall area out to connect. So all we have to do is do the connection piece. And I didn't think, in all honesty, to me, I think there was a rough estimate thrown out, and I may be wrong, but I thought it was about $20,000. So to me, it honestly didn't seem like it was too bad to connect. So
surprised you weren't. Okay, thanks.
Anybody else have anything for Bob? Okay, let's move on to
Thank you.
the park liaison report. Bill, let me start with you.
Sure. Nothing to report over at Bicentennial. Everything when I drive by looks good, and
Okay.
not this time.
Sarah, Byers, Bill Rice.
I don't have anything to report right now.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Sarah.
Okay, no problem.
Barb, Long Park and Snowy Ridge.
There's not too much to say because the road is closed, so I don't think we'll be hearing much about Long Park until probably close to April. They're putting in piping down there and the 14 miles closed. You cannot go to the park.
Do we have a lot of sledders up on Snowy Ridge, or have you seen that yet?
Well, maybe after it snows tomorrow, we'll have some sledders.
All right, good. Linda, Hickory Glen.
I saw the back the backstops were going up 2 weeks ago, Josh, and they look pretty cool. And other than that, no, I haven't seen a whole lot of activity.
Yeah, backstops are completed. That's our second phase of our safety improvement project, which we are hoping takes us about 5 years. That's just kind of phase 2, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, thanks, Linda. Rachel, Dodge Park.
Nothing major to report. There's just always kids playing there all the time.
That's good.
Doesn't matter how cold it is, there's kids playing there.
I've been there on a snowy day. Oh, actually, on that note, when it is rainy or snowy, all the ramps are super, super slippery, and I've seen a lot of kids wipe out on those.
All right, let's see if there's something safe we can put down on it.
Bob, Victory, and Wise Woods.
In general, not much going on. I would make a comment, and Mark, I guess you're on here. You don't really need to get on it, but I noticed today, now I don't know when it happened, that there seemed to be a few trash bags on the side of the road, not normal like road pickup. It just looked like black garbage bags. And there's an oven or a range or something on the side of the road that looks like people are dumping over there. This is on the Wise Wood side, so the north side of the Wise Road property. I will say I've noticed a lot, it seems like a lot more cars. So, and of course they're parking all over the place. So they're parking not only in the dirt lot that we have, but just off on the side of the road. So I think, Emily, we need to sort of kick up a little bit the plan of creating some parking spots and at least come up with whether it's bids or whatever process, we need to kick that in gear again. I'm sure Allison would love to do that. I can see her. She looks excited over there.
It's on our schedule to bring to you guys.
It's just, there's a ton of cars over there. They're parked up into the trees on the Wise Wood side. They're just pulled off in there. I question whether they're hunting or are they actually just walking back there. So it just seems to be a lot more and potentially unsafe because of where they are too.
Well,
They're always there, Bob. Every time I go by on that side.
I know. Yep.
Mark can comment, but there was we don't know who it was, went back there, it looked like with some heavy machinery and dug down, like they made a dirt bike course. Like they dug down, like I could stand in it up to my chest.
Yeah, pretty deep, and they used machinery, nice square hole dug, pretty deep, pretty long, wide.
The one off
they pulled.
Is that coming in off? You think is that coming in off someone's property?
No,
I mean, like through a backyard, or
it came off Wise Road. They pulled all the telephone poles back. We put them back. Yeah.
There's 3 different dirt bike courses in there, at least.
Oh my gosh.
The north side has one. It's been there for a while. South side did one.
This was new within the last 2 months that they decided to go back there and do this. So we definitely.
Oh, this is on the south side?
Yeah, south side. Yeah, they had a well.
Is it the one by the landing
the river
or the landing pad?
Yes.
That one was part of it was there over the summer.
And they just
added to it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's time to get some people
that's
up
an
there.
area that's an area that I don't know. Supposedly there were missile silos in there, so they go digging in there and stuff could collapse. At least that's always been a concern. So
I mean, there's sinkholes around the park on that side.
Larry.
So what I'm hearing is that the township needs a BMX track.
Yeah, right.
No, we have that. We have it.
So
there's a few of them in there.
We're talking about a skate park. I've never heard anything about BMX track, so maybe that's something to look into.
They can go next to the dog park.
Right.
There you go. All right.
Is there any signage for no motorized vehicles?
There's
all posted.
That no hunting,
Unfortunately, I think this is one where we need to get activity in the park so that it's being seen as parkland and not a backyard.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, when you're talking about this, we also have to watch the cemetery because Bob and I keep noticing not every time, but boy, there's a lot of people park their trucks and go back in there. And some of those gravestones are not made far enough away from the road. So a big truck will really wreck them. So we need to be careful of that. Maybe we could remind the sheriff's department to go by more often, take a look when they go by.
I think it makes sense also to put some sort of trail or walkway from the library driveway over across the street into the park.
Where are you talking, Rachel?
Well, right across from the north entrance of the library is where the power lines are, and that kind of connects back if you go around behind the graveyard.
Okay.
But I don't know if we own that land or if the power company does.
I think they have an easement we can check into it.
Yeah, but we can still use that property. The easement just means, right.
Yeah, I've walked.
I believe it's ours and they have the easement, but we'll check into it either way.
All right.
That's it on Wise Road property, Victory and Wise Woods.
Okay. Moving on to Maple Glen Park. I drove through there today and saw a lady walking her dog and two cross-country skiers. I noticed that, Mark, do we plow, we just only plow the pavement? We don't plow the dirt at all. Is that correct?
Just the roundabout, the main entrance, and just a small area for parking.
Yeah, I mean, I saw about maybe 3 or 4
I'm gonna bring that up.
cars that went back there, in the dirt area, but looks like people are running around there a little bit still in the snow, so.
Yeah, we try to keep them out because there's a lot of lawn damage. If we don't, the kids go back there, so the more snow, we hope that it discourage them.
Yeah, okay. All right, I think that does the park liaison. Number 5, Village Wolverine reports. Linda?
I've got nothing for you guys.
Except the guy died the other day, huh? Okay,
Except we had a death.
all right. Item 6, Mark, Maintenance Department report.
Okay. Park inspections are pretty good because of the snow. Not a lot of people using the parks as much as we do in the summertime. Like I said, off-roading. Long Park looks bad. There's one direction down there. So it's just the front. The back looks pretty good. I don't know if you noticed, a lot of trash cans are taken out of Maple, Hickory, Richardson Center, and Dodge South because of all the trash people are throwing in there. And we really don't need that many there during the winter. Nobody's complained yet. If they do, we'll bring some more. Like the parking area at Maple, we clear that. That was the request. Bob made that, I think, last year. And then Dodge South, we keep that all clear so the workers can work there. And there's still some kids going back there with their parents doing little picnics if it's sunny and stuff. We try to keep it clean. So that's about it.
Good, thanks, Mark.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, number 7, Girl Scout Cookie Drive-through Richardson Center. Emily, is that you?
Yeah, we have some representatives on here that they're gonna do a presentation for you, and there's some information included in your packet as well. So I'll go ahead and let them do their presentation.
Okay.
My name is Lila, and also on with me is Ellie. We're in the same Girl Scout troop 76314. And we were going to talk about why selling cookies is important and to ask if we could use the Richardson Center parking lot as a cookie drive-through, because with the coronavirus, it's kind of hard for us to find spots to sell at. So we were doing that, and we were going to talk about 2 things of why selling cookies is important for us. So something that I'm going to talk about is why it's important for us to sell cookies and what we learn from it. So we learn money and how to operate it. We get to make change, and we have to multiply and add for when we're selling. So that's important for us to learn our math. And what's also important is we learn people skills, and we get to talk to a bunch of different people. And that kind of goes along with being brave and not being scared to do things. So we talk to a bunch of different people. It's also good because we learn to take no for an answer, and we learn all of those things when we sell cookies. So now Ellie is going to talk to you about what we do with our cookie money. Thank you, Lila. I'm Ellie, and here's my presentation. So we spend the money we raise from selling cookies on meeting supplies, badges, and patches, and also fun adventures like Girl Scout camp, horseback riding, zip lining, and canoeing, and a lot more, including our big field trips. This year, we are spending the night at the Toledo Zoo, and we're going to Mackinac Island next year. Each year, our troop also chooses a charity to support. This year, we chose JDRF. Thank you for having us at your meeting and for considering to allow us to have the cookie booth at the Richardson Center. Thank you.
So
right.
they have put in a formal request to hold it, and they're going to be in the parking lot only. They're requesting the times from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. They've requested February 13th, February 27th, March 13th, March 27th. Currently, we don't have any renters that would interfere with that. I did speak to, I believe it was the troop leader or co-leader, and explained if something changed and something came up, we would just work with them to either pick a different date or alter times or work with between them and the renter so that it wouldn't be an issue with them being in the parking lot.
Well, I'll make a motion that we grant that as long as there's no conflicts with anybody that's renting the Richardson Center or anything that's an engagement to the girls.
I'll second
I'll
that.
second.
Okay, I
So
got,
I have a question for you. Ellie, you ready for your question? You're still muted.
Yes, I'm ready.
Do you have your map? How many states have you sold cookies in?
Yes. I'm selling the cookie. Yes, I do. It's downstairs. I think my mom's getting it. But
Nice.
currently I have 43 states and counting. So here's my
Last map I saw, Ellie, you only needed 4 states. Is that right?
I think
Did
I
you
need
get West Virginia?
No, I don't have West Virginia yet.
So Ellie, I'm Mr. Burkheiser, and so I was the one that was helping you get stuff in different states. So good job on selling your cookies.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. My troops goal this year is 14,000, I think. Yes, 14,000.
I have a question
Yes.
too. Do you guys have a good, delicious flavor that's gluten-free this year?
Sure do.
What is it?
It's coffee-tastic.
There's no
yeah.
such thing as a good flavor gluten-free. You're either gluten-free or good flavor.
Actually, it's pretty good. Yes, my dad loves them with his coffee.
Ladies, would you do me a favor and make sure you send or have Emily send over to the Village of Wolverine Lake those dates so that we can email them out to our residents at Wolverine Lake, those dates, so that they can drive by and get cookies?
That would be great. Thank you. That'd be awesome.
I hope Emily can take care of that through me.
It's in your packet.
Yeah.
It's in your packet, Linda.
Hey, Emily,
I know.
Yeah.
Just wanted to
Okay.
make sure.
Are we able to put those dates on the Richardson board? So people, okay,
Yep.
perfect.
okay, I have a motion by Patch and a second by Garbett. Any more discussion? Okay, Debbie, I think we need a roll call vote.
Okay. Pesh,
Aye.
Garbett,
Yes.
Champagne,
Yes.
Wickert,
Yes,
Henderson,
Yes.
Burkheiser,
Yes.
Cass.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Good luck, girls.
Good luck, girls.
Yep.
good luck,
Thank
girls.
you. Thank you.
You're
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on item number 8, Eagle Scout Project. Kayla Jewett, Troop 201.
Kayla is on the meeting, so I'm gonna let her, if you look in your packet, she did provide you guys with a PowerPoint presentation. So I'll go ahead and let her go over that with you.
You unmute there, there you go.
All right. Do you want me to pull it up, like share screen?
Sure, if you can do that, that would be great.
Sure. All right, here.
Wow. Technology.
All right.
Emily, you can't share a screen. What's the deal?
That's what I was happy she offered.
We need a life scout to train us.
No. All right. Can you see what I'm doing?
Yes, we can.
Oh,
We can. We see
here's the
all
wrong one.
your email.
Yeah. Sorry. Shared the wrong one. Just a minute. No.
Maybe we don't want her to train us.
Oh, just a minute. Exit. There it is. Found it. Okay, now you can see what I'm doing.
There it is.
There
I
we
think
go.
I want to hit the present button. Where is it? Where's the present button? There
Hit-
it is. Okay, hopefully you can see that all.
We can.
All right, so how do I change slides? That is how I change slides. All right, so I'm Kayla Jewett from Troop 201, and I'm going to do an Eagle Scout project for Byers Park. All right, so this is the current site where we're looking at to build a butterfly garden, and this is Kerpow afterward. All right, so we're going to have a fence about 9 feet over here. Wait, no, 14 feet over here, 9 feet over here. Like gate on the corner. We're going to be adding lots of flowers and milkweed for the endangered species of monarch butterflies. Okay, so we're going to be restoring a historic gate. Here it is. It's like the original gate that the original owner had a really long time ago. I didn't get dates on that. It will mostly consist of just repainting it, the original color, new hinges, new latches, everything. All right, so possible historic garden cart. All right, so apparently by the time I made this, I didn't know that Karen had already bought one, so we're good. I can actually, that's a question. I can fundraise to pay for it. Anyone have any thoughts on that? I can fundraise to pay for it.
To pay for the garden cart?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking?
So Kayla, my feeling is that if it's not considered part of your Eagle Scout project, that you shouldn't fundraise it. You should just be fundraising for whatever you need to do for your Eagle Scout project. The way I read your presentation was the cart was not really part of that. If for some reason if you fundraise and you've got an extra $300 and then technically you're supposed to donate to there. So whatever you fundraise over, if you want to donate it and dedicate it towards the cart, you can do that. But I would not go into it planning.
Okay.
My suggestion.
Perfect. That's perfect. That's all I needed to know. That is good. All right. So why is it helpful to the beneficiary and community? Well, first of all, it was requested, and it will promote habitat restoration for the endangered monarch butterfly population. And it's going to beautify the park. I think it's going to turn out really good. Okay, so
Kayla, let me ask you a question right here, Kayla. What's the potential that we have a lot of bees and wasps and everything else that are doing their thing? And would that be an issue with all the people that walk through there? I mean, do you know, Barb? And I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but and Barb, if you're on, anybody that can answer that, that was the only concern.
Most bees do not sting. So unless someone is in there swatting at them, there should be no problem at all. None.
Okay.
Yeah, if they're honeybees, certainly not. All right. I didn't think about that. That's a good point. I don't think there will be. Most of those flowers flower at different times anyway. So yeah, I don't think it'll be that big of a problem.
Well, and if there are two butterfly gardens that I see a lot. One is over at the park, and another one is at Walled Lake Library. And they do not have any problems with bees or any other insects. So I think you can just rule that out as a problem.
Okay. Good to know.
We've had one at Wolverine Lake right at the entrance to Clara Miller Park, the sidewalk that goes to the bathrooms for years. It's kind of gone now, but we never had any issue with it either.
Right.
Okay, that's perfect. All right, key steps to project completion. Well, first of all, I need to get all the approvals, all the signatures, like from the scout end and from the committee end, which I'm doing now. All right, and that's January, which is happening. All right, project and final plan. Like, I will be preparing the project plan, like especially detailing the anticipated costs so that I can fundraise properly. All right, and then fundraising. I forgot to omit the coin drive because I didn't know about the national coin shortage. I thought it was a good idea until I heard about that. So we're not going to do that. All right, so we're going to be fundraising after the Super Bowl. Perfect. All right, securing the materials after fundraising.
Well, wouldn't you be putting your coins back into circulation when you cash them in for your project? If you did collect the coins?
Well, when I heard about the national coin shortage, I thought people would be more like reluctant to give coins. I thought coins were more of a everywhere kind of thing. So I'm not planning on doing that, actually. I'm not planning on doing that.
Someone heard he's still on there.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Are they not talking anymore?
Are we good?
There.
Are we good?
Yeah, we just have some people on the phone that
There's
we can
people on the
hear.
phone that are unmuted. If you can mute them, that'd be great.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if someone was
But you're
having a
good.
question.
Keep going. No, you're good.
Okay.
Oh, keep going, dear.
Yeah, we'll be securing the work. We'll be securing the supplies prior to the work days, and then we'll be scheduling the work days. Well, scheduling is going to happen in phase 2, but like it'll be all in there. Then we'll be executing the work days and then tying up the loose ends, like making sure everybody's happy with it. Everything's planted, everything's good. And then at the end, we'll be more on the scout end of
I
things.
did the raise your hand thing, but I haven't been recognized yet.
What were you gonna ask?
Can we mute the?
What is
Can we mute those?
She just explained it.
Ellen, you're live. Just
What plan?
hold off.
I mean, what?
She went through all that.
Sorry, Kayla. Just give us 1 second.
Like, what plants are they going to put in there?
She said something about Karen's already put into butterfly weeds or butterfly bushes.
Well, we already know that.
Is there any way that we can mute our callers?
Like, who's going to maintain it? Are they going to
Yes, I'm going to work on that.
Oh,
Thank
everything
you.
will be
weed it,
planted.
or is there a fence that's got to be maintained, or what?
I understood the picket fence. I might have missed. some of
Kayla,
that.
you don't need to worry about that. Just wait 1 second, okay?
I will answer any questions.
That's fine.
If
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't
we want you to
explain
get through your
something, tell
presentation.
me.
I don't care what these are.
Well, we don't need any more maintenance at the duck farm.
Well, I don't think you need to ask.
Do we know who it
Are
is?
they planting
Dean,
like,
it's
are they planting
the
like milkweed, or what are they
9069
planting?
number.
She mentioned that. So.
There's
you must
already.
not have listened. She was talking about plants when I walked outside.
Ellen, are you out there?
Oh, yes, I am out here.
You're live. You're live. We need
Okay.
you to mute. Hit *6 because we can't continue with the meeting while you guys are talking.
Okay, I just muted her.
Thank you.
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, Kayla, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, and you're talking about a little bit about plants. They will all be perennial. All they need to be is clipped down except for the existing butterfly bushes. That'll be it. Which the buyers was willing to do, I think. Like, that's the impression Karen gave me.
You were dealing with Karen, yes.
Yes.
They are. They requested it, so they're willing to do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sometimes it's hard to tell who I'm talking to.
I know.
You're good. You just go ahead. Just keep that out of your mind. You're good. Move forward. You're good.
Thank you. All right, and then at the end, it's just all on the BSA end. For that. And I want.
So Kayla, the only thing I would ask is that when it's done, if you would take some pictures, which you will for your project anyway, and then if you would then put together just a quick summary and back to Emily so that it will come back to the board, to the committee, and then to the township board. So we close the loop on our side and we can see the wonderful work you did and publicize it that way too.
All right,
Looks
so
very
make
okay.
an end report for you guys.
Just a little one-page thing, not a big deal. Put some pictures in there, and that's all we're looking for. Summarize what you did and put some pictures in there.
All
For the
right,
most part, it's the same thing you're doing for your Eagle Scout project, so paperwork.
all right, just a minute. I want to change slides. All right, there we go. All right, so here's all of the materials. I mean, I don't know if you need to go read every single one of them. This is just everything. Price estimate, this is what we're estimating if there's no donations. Like, I will be fundraising for this much. If there's donations, it will be a hooray. and that would be good. All right, safety issues, like just addressing safety. Of course, you've got your outdoors stuff like bug spray, everything, keep out of brush for poison ivy, and then working with tools. It will all be age appropriate. There's BSA regulations all over that. Great, everything. All right, but I want to highlight the COVID. All right, so we will be listing people for contact tracing, like we'll have the temperature checks. All the participants will be required to wear a mask correctly. That works with stores. We're doing it here. Like outdoors, you don't need to be 6 feet if both people have a mask. So that is my understanding. Like, no, it is. That is right. Because it's virtually impossible to get outside. And then, like, I won't have major clumping of people anyway. The food is going to be individualized, and we're going to have hand washing stations and hand sanitizer. All right, any questions on the safety?
Nope.
It certainly sounds like you've done a lot of work on this. It sounds like a great project coming up.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Yeah, I've done a lot of, yeah. Okay. And then, wait, no. Thanks, so please to consider. All right, does anyone have any questions?
Barb, you want to take this one?
So I'll make a motion that we approve the Eagle Scout project for Kayla in Byers Park for the Butterfly Garden.
I sure would like to second that one.
Go ahead, Barb.
Okay.
Yes, second.
Okay, we have a motion by Burkheiser, a second by Garbett. Any more discussion? All in favor? Debbie, go ahead and roll call. Maybe we can get our faces back up there and take this thing off.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Here.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kayla. Go ahead, Debbie.
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Garbett,
Aye.
Pesh,
Aye.
Wickert,
Aye.
Henderson,
Aye.
Champagne,
Yes.
Cast.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Kayla, you'll get
Thank
with
you,
me.
thank you.
Thank you.
You'll
Thank
get
you,
with me
Kayla.
after the meeting and we'll get your paperwork and everything filled out for you, okay?
Okay, that will be
Hey,
wonderful.
Kayla?
Thank you.
Kayla, how many girls are Eagle Scouts?
In my troop or in the nation?
Well, in your troop.
In the troop, there is one really on the way, and I'm going to be the second one.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm proud to be the second. That will be the second Eagle Scout ever in the troop. Not in the world, though. I joined late.
Not in the world. I am one.
All right, moving on to item number 9. CW3 signage request. Chris?
Chris and I
Yeah,
kind of
so-
talked about this before the meeting, and I did send him over our sponsorship agreement, but I guess I need some clarification too from Chris's end, which he can do when he kind of explains this. Is this going to be a permanent sign, or are you just looking for temporary signage?
Permanent. So the issue is, you know, especially the visiting teams
Yeah.
who attend games here at Dodge Park. As I've mentioned before, fans, spectators, players, coaches, referees, everybody that comes to this park just keeps raving about how beautiful it is and how great it is to play soccer there. The hard part is on the front end. Most of them have no idea where to go once they get here. And so some very simple, like we have a field map that we put on our website. Most teams send that out to their opponents, but there's always a disconnect between, you know, the sender and the receiver as far as them disseminating that to all of their coaches or their parents. In the end, even with that map, you know, most people aren't, as Bob can attest to, aren't very good natural map readers. They have to be taught that skill by a former or a current Eagle Scout, right? In the end, something fairly simple, but in a we'd have to pick a proper good location, either freestanding or maybe attached to the building or the pavilion, whatever you guys think would be best, but would be in an area maybe adjacent to the Circle Drive or the main entrance into the main parking lot, where when people pull in, they can get oriented based on where they are, where field 1, field 2, field 3 are. And then from there, when they get out to the field, they figure it out. We have typically the field number painted on the ground at the corner of each field, so they can differentiate, the 3 different fields on one space, if that makes sense. But basically just something to help them find where the fields are located, especially field number 3 when the leaves are up. Other than a little peek at it through that main first entrance that we just put the gate up at, you can't even see it. So just a way for people who are visiting the park for the first time to play soccer to find where they need to go.
Oh, I'm going to give my 2 cents here. And I think that I know that we are against signage. We don't like a lot of signage in our park. We don't like a lot of permanent signage in our park, but we do like wayfinding signage, and the rest of our parks with leagues do have wayfinding signage. So I think that we could incorporate this into, notifying the people that are on the south side of Dodge, the libraries in the north section of Dodge, and vice versa. Letting the people in the north section of Dodge know that, Scarlet Smile is on the other side, which way the trail goes, which way the Richardson Center is, if you want to get into that much detail as far as wayfinding. So Chris had asked me to send him over the sponsorship policy, which I did, but this is a permanent signage. So besides size, that's not going to really help us. This is kind of a individual base that we need to deal with. Chris made the suggestion that maybe him and I, and possibly Rachel, since this is her park, work on this and develop a plan and bring it back to you guys next month.
Yeah, I would like to see, a concept of what you really want, Chris, so we all have a visual idea on it. You could plan it on the map and show us where. I'm very familiar with the park, but definitely I've always thought that we need some direction, both on the north side entrance coming down the pathway and also on the entrance off of South Commerce Road. That at one point when you get in the park to know where everything is. And as long as it's something that meets all of our guidelines and regulations, that I would be for it also.
It may help with the parking issues that we're seeing over there also.
Sure.
So I think we've talked about this, Emily, for, I don't know, it seems like 2 or 3 years. I've sent you from different parks, from these soccer games I go to, all these different examples. And so I think we've got a lot of examples we can work with.
Yep.
I think it needs to be something that's inside the park. I personally wouldn't want anything out by the road. And even with that, I think we need to remove the Scarlet Smile Road signs. Those are building type signs. I mean, it's in place now. We've got our township park sign there. If we need to modify that, that's a different story. But that's, but I think we do need to come up with, I'll call it standardized, or preferred format that we want it to have. And I think anybody pulling in should be able to look at it, 1 or 2 of them on the south side, and figure out where they want to go. And it's not just for the soccer, but I think it ought to incorporate the pathway that heads to the library and those type things. So, and then on the library side, it needs to encompass the park itself, not just soccer fields. So.
Agreed.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep, I agree also.
So we don't need to do anything tonight then, Emily? You're going to bring this up next month?
Yeah. As long as you guys are in support of the idea, and then we will bring back different idea concepts to you next month.
Yeah, we can follow the guidelines of our colors and so forth of our entrance signs and make something that looks, congenial with the rest of what we got going in all the parks.
Yep.
I'm happy to help too.
All right. Let's move on to item number 10 then.
Thank you.
Sure, Chris. Is that Regina or Regina Music Box?
Regina Music Box. So this music box was the music box that was in the Byers farmhouse and was removed in, I believe, 2018 due to the mold mildew situation that we have in that house with it not being weather sealed or weather tight. So that music box was removed. It has been repaired and it is now located at the Township Hall in the treasurer's office. In the last 2 months, we've had several requests for that music box to be put somewhere where the public can see it and enjoy it more, which I don't think is a bad idea. It's just the idea of finding the proper location for it. What tends to keep coming up is the idea of putting it at the library. I know that when the library was being built, we had a lot of discussion about having a spot at Parksted, about having a spot in the library where, you know, antique historic items that, you know, pertain to the township could be displayed. This seems like a good idea. Allison and I had very brief conversation about it, and she had some concerns that are very valid. I mean, she's in the library every day. It is a music box, so at first the thought of having a loud music box go into the library isn't exactly appealing because you have other patrons that maybe not appreciate that. But with
There
that
wasn't a
being-
plan to have it run the whole time, was there?
No.
No,
And
okay.
if
Okay.
everybody's fine with that, then that could be a good
Well,
location.
I'm more concerned if it's just sitting out
Yes.
that it could get damaged. I mean, we have a lot of little kids that run in there and not necessarily a lot of supervision from parents that watch those little kids. It's
Well-
almost like it's vacation time. So that's my concern, and is that when we had discussion, when we built the library, there was talk of putting in a museum type thing where things could go and be protected, but you could still see those things, and change the displays here and there. For whatever reason, probably financial, we decided not to make those type of things added into the library when it was built. I do think it's a good spot, but those would be my concerns, is damage for it.
We would have to develop some kind of case to protect it because, I mean, honestly, the oils from your skin can damage the wood over time.
Allison, can I ask you a question? Is there any spot that, like a little alcove or a offset area that could be roped off per se, that would be a little display area, maybe a 10 by 10 or something of that area that these things could go into, as we thought about way back when we were building the library? That was, you know, where our release thought we would have something like that to display not only the music box, but other antiques and memorabilia from the township. That's history. And we thought that it would be, you know, the red roped area, you know, that you can't enter it, but you can stand there and walk by and look and say, oh, that's that. Have a little placard stating what it is, its age, its time, and that would be an involving and revolving thing with other artifacts from the township. So I don't know if you have any area like that that could be dedicated to that, but that was what I envisioned it to be.
There's not a, you know, dead corner of the library, I think, as you're envisioning it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that we can get creative. You know, sometimes the corners, you know, we can tuck it in a little, you know, something in a little corner, you know, by some chairs, but that's also a place where we don't have a lot of visibility. So I would be concerned about, you know, the items that way.
I agree.
The
big
areas
is-
with
how
the like
big is
traffic are the areas that are probably like, you know, watched the least also.
Linda, it's large. I mean, would you say it's 7-8 feet tall?
Oh, yeah, it's a big thing. Yeah,
It's big.
yeah, it's a piece of furniture. It's a large piece of furniture.
I could fit inside of it.
But you're little.
Well, I think the most important
Well,
part
that's
is.
not that large.
Oh.
Bob,
What's wrong with Commerce Township Hall?
We thought about that. We've had discussion about that too. Actually, Larry and I had a lot of discussion about that, and it could be a good location. I think that there's more locations there that we could put it, but the traffic flow isn't as much. And so that
Yeah,
was
there's-
kind of the less appealing point to that.
Gotcha.
Is if you want to put it out there so that the public can enjoy it, the library has more traffic flow. But again, with that being said, sometimes the most obvious solution isn't always the right solution. And so that's why it's here, because we need to have discussion about it.
I
So
think it's
Allison,
very
has
important.
the library board looked at it? Barb, as I don't know if you still sit on that. So has the board, have you guys looked at it, the library side?
No,
Okay.
because this is, I just heard about that today, but I think Allison is right. We would have to be so careful where it went because there's so many corners where kids get away from their parents and
Yep.
I don't know, it's kind of scary to think about it, truthfully. But we
I
have
mean, the
a
only
meeting
thing to- yeah.
meeting this week, so we could also discuss it.
Yeah, if you could discuss it and see, I'm not talking about sticking it out into a corner just to have it there. I was hoping that there could be a designated area that could be roped off or partitioned off, that this would be inside and you can't, if you do go in there, you're definitely violating the keep outside. So, I mean, if it's available, I don't know, but I agree with what Emily says is that for people, more people go to the library than they do the township hall. So it would be the obvious place or the best place if it was feasible. If it's not, then it's the way it is.
We need to do our homework, and I guess the idea is to bring it here. There's a lot of different opinions and mindsets about it, and the libraries committee is going to bring their own ideas also. So I think it's discussion that it's been started. We need to continue it. And Allison, I'd be happy to come on your meeting. Is it Wednesday night?
It is.
And give some background on it, just because I do feel it should be in the public eye.
Is there a place for it to go somewhere at the Richardson Center?
You know, we originally thought about that when it was removed, but having renters in there, there's
Yeah.
no place that we can secure it.
Yeah, you're right.
That makes sense.
No.
You'd rather have the guard duty over at the library.
It's gotta
I
be.
mean, honestly, it would fit at the township hall better at that point, you know.
I think. Well, I guess, Emily, we're gonna just then, you guys gonna discuss that?
We
Barb,
can, yeah.
I'm gonna discuss that with you
Let's
and.
Punt
make
it
a-
to the library.
Huh?
Push it to the library. I mean, we need to get feedback from them to coordinate.
Yeah, we'll
Sorry,
talk
Allison.
about it
That's the
Wednesday
best.
night, see what
If
we
it's
come up
possible,
with.
I mean, speaking with Emily today and stuff, we just want to get your guys' feedback. If there's feasibility, if it's not, we got to find plan B. That's all it's to it.
Right.
Yeah. All right, we done with that?
Yep.
Okay, let's go on to item 11, Parks and Recreation Bylaw Review.
So the Park and Rec bylaws that you have in your packet were, you'll see the red line changes that the attorneys made to it. The changes are dealing with making it compliant with the Open Meetings Act by going on Zoom. So not only dealing with the COVID situation, but even beyond COVID situation. So, I mean, they're pretty consistent across the board. I know the township board just approved these, the planning commission just approved these. So we're just staying consistent with the other boards and commissions in the township. The other thing that we need to discuss is after reviewing our bylaws, it's been brought to our attention that there's nowhere in our bylaws that states that you have to be a resident of the township to sit on our commission or our committee. And so there's been some internal discussion on if that's something that should be a requirement, if that's a change that we want to make to our bylaws and send that to the
So-
township board.
Let me jump in just on that note. The township board is going to discuss that tomorrow night. So if they make that decision, no offense, it doesn't matter what you want. So, but I'm just saying,
It's, in my opinion, it's very difficult to get volunteers in any committee. And you would lose people like Dean and stuff like that. over-
they're not on the board
It
though.
would only be
They're not on
committee
the committee.
members.
It would be
Linda,
you,
this
you,
is-
Linda,
And me, I don't live
Or
in the township
Rachel.
anymore.
Well, I'm in the township. I pay township taxes.
right.
But
No,
I
no, I
don't.
know, but I'm just saying, you're the board member. Rachel's a board member.
Well, I thought you said
so it's-
committee. Now, I thought you said
it's-
committee.
But It's Park and Rec Committee. That's what we are.
Okay.
The Township Board, that's by law. We have to be in the township to run for that. So it would be all you guys that are on the Parks and Rec Committee is what it's
Gotcha.
called. The question is, do you or should you be a township resident?
Gotcha.
And our bylaws don't state that. So the Township Board is going to discuss that, not just for parks, but for all the committees we have. Right. So did you want other comments from this, or are you bringing it back later, or did you expect us to look at it and make comments? What did you
I
want?
was hoping that a comment would be made and that I could send language over
Okay.
to the attorneys to go to the board for approval in February.
So if we're looking at this, we have on here under Article 3, Section 2, that I guess we can have up to 2 board members on here. Traditionally, we've only had 1. I would suggest we change that to 1, and not as you can have. I would just say we have 1 township board member on Parks and Rec that serves as a liaison, something like that. And then, and I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter because later it goes through and explains that, but the term of a member, it says shall be 4 years. And I was just going to say not more than 4 years, but there's other things in there that explain it later. So that may not make a difference. Article 5, Section 1 talks about the time of the meeting. So I don't know if you want to update that. Generally, we're technically 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah, because even when we have our park walkthroughs, they're at, yep.
Right.
I'm at-
That's at 6. So I don't know whether if we need to have a time and whatever in the bylaws, fine, then we probably ought to update it.
Yep.
The only thing I put was on Section 5, and I don't know that, I mean, you can ask the attorney, but it says if any committee member misses 2 consecutive regular meetings without notifying the township supervisor, I would say Parks and Rec director or township supervisor.
That's what this
I don't
says
know that.
supervisors
I don't know that.
designee. That would be me.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, that's good then. And then this other stuff from Section 6, that's all the standard, I say, canned lawyer stuff, right?
Correct.
Okay. And that was it on my suggestions or comments.
Emily, what do we need to do now?
I guess I need a decision or conversation about if we should be residents or not.
Well,
What
that's-
about if you own property in the township but you
You're-
live just outside of it?
I
And
think
that's
the
the
own
discussion
property,
that needs to be had.
I mean, my personal opinion, and no offense, Rachel, but my personal opinion is, I mean, the intent, I think, of what the township board expects from the committee is that you live in the township, but you go to your parks, you have more of an involvement on what's going on in the township. And I'm not saying Rachel does or doesn't, because this is not about Rachel. This is just in general. Although she happened to be
She
the
just
one
brought
that
it to our
caused the issue.
attention.
And I think you ought to be a township resident, and it's really going to be up to the supervisor since that's who makes the recommendation anyway. But so my vote or opinion would be that you should be a township resident.
Well, I agree with Bob, is that, being a resident, being involved in the parks, and one of the reasons I got on Parks and Rec was for our kids and to develop our parks the way, finally get them in the direction that they're going. I mean, the years that we've worked to get it this far that's because I care. I live in the township and I want it to be a better place for residents of the township. And again, nothing against Rachel, you're a great board member or committee member, but my belief was that you had to be always. I didn't know that there wasn't a,
But it was honestly, like, we keep saying poor Rachel. It's poor Rachel. Like, we love you. We don't want to see you go or anything happen to you because you've been great and you're a rarity because you moved out of the township, but you're still willing to serve. But the majority of people wouldn't. And when they moved, they did step down. And so we didn't know. And although Rachel is the rarity that would continue to serve, does that mean that everybody will, or that we want to carry that consistent?
Can she serve out her term if she chooses and then it starts when, no?
I don't
No.
I
I mean, that's really,
Is that?
it's going to be, honestly, all this is going to come up to the township board. The township board will make this decision.
It'll be unilateral, won't it, Bob?
Well, the discussion tomorrow night is sort of what we're having, not for parks only, but in general. So if you're in the library board or committee and you move out of Commerce Township, should you still be on that?
That's what I mean.
And I don't know what's in their bylaws. I have no idea. But it could apply to the DDA, to be honest with you. You know, there's lots of different, whatever are the other ones we have. Zoning, I don't know what their rules are, and their bylaws could state it. I have no idea. The only thing we are sure now is that to be a township board member, obviously to get elected, you have to be a resident of the township.
When this was asked to the attorneys, the only thing he went to review were our bylaws. And it's not specified in our bylaws, which is where it would need to be specified. So again, the board can make the decision to change our bylaws, but I wanted to bring it here and have the discussion first.
All right, so we're going to wait for the board of trustees, going to make that decision basically then, Emily?
I was hoping that we would have the discussion here and that you as a committee would make the recommendation to the board.
Well,
wait,
can I say something from my point of view first?
I'd like to see Rachel stay if she wants to.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Sure. So I did move back in September and I notified Emily right away, and we've been kind of waiting to hear what the attorneys and the board would all say. I still do own a house in the township, and I actually still use the parks a lot. I was in Nike last week and Dodge Park the week before that, so I'm still there all the time, and I see both sides, and I will not be upset either way because, yeah, it's like an edge case, and I don't want to say what's right or wrong.
So you own property still in the township?
Yeah, I have renters in my old house.
Well, if you own property,
you're a taxpayer, dear.
Yeah.
But that's being paid by the renters.
Well, it's being paid by my mortgage in my name.
Sure. But out of the renters.
She owns property.
Well, the renters are paying me. I'm paying.
I understand. All I would like to say is
he has a vested.
I don't think we shouldn't be making this decision based on Rachel. That's not the intent of this. It's what is in general. And if you guys all think that, hey, if you own property in the township, we think that's good, we'll make that recommendation to the township board.
I'd like to make
whatever.
If we have an open seat on
Linda.
the Parks Committee and we have a resident from another township that owns a piece of property, but has never attended a meeting, never showed an interest in Commerce Township Parks, but decided they want to sit on our Parks Committee, would you support that? I mean, I guess that's, again, we have to remove Rachel from the situation, and we have to look at, by not having something written, what the scenarios could be and the fact that you have no ground to stand on at that point.
Well, to me, if you're a landowner, you can be, but you have to be appointed to this committee. So if
Correct.
someone any interest,
the supervisor would decide.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Linda.
Does the verbiage stipulate resident? If like, could a business owner?
Doesn't stipulate anything right now.
That's what I'm saying. So a business owner literally could sit on any of our commissions if they were.
I don't know. I only know what our bylaws state. That's what Bob's saying. They are planning on doing a review of all boards and commissions.
Well, just to bring that up, I'm just saying is if they're rewriting the bylaws, they need to look at.
So as an example, our DDA, now it's a little different. Our DDA, you have to be a business owner in Commerce. So we have people on our DDA, and I have no idea where they live. So, but someone could live in Bloomfield Township, but they own the piano store in Commerce Township, and they could be on our DDA. Because the intent of the DDA is business oriented. that's intended that way. So, but by that same concept, are you saying someone that lives in Bloomfield or West Bloomfield or up north and happens to own a house here, in theory, could be on our Parks and Rec?
If they're appointed, yes.
So I would disagree. So you can say that there were folks that think if you own property, that's good, or you should be a resident. I think that's been the two comments.
They have a vested interest if they own property in Commerce on any board or commission. And there's something to be said about wanting Parks and Recs to be great and the zoning commission to be great if you own property, because it helps the cost of your home evaluate over time. So I would think that anybody who owns property has a vested interest. That's just my point.
Another thing to consider is my kids are still in Walled Lake schools, and so all of their leagues that they would be in are still in Commerce Township parks.
So next year, will they be in Walled Lake, or will they go? I don't
Yeah,
even
they
know
go
where
to
you live,
Dublin.
but-
They go to Dublin now.
Okay.
So they're still CW3, they're still Commerce Little League, they're still everything that would be in Commerce. Which I
So
mean,
by that concept, I own a house in Waterford, so I ought to be able to sit on some of the water. I don't know what their rules are, but the Waterford things. But I never go to any of their parks. I never
it's
look
just
at any
another
of
thing to
that, so-
consider, yeah.
Yeah, me
I
either,
know.
Bob.
Well, does anyone want to make a
We have
statement
to
there?
put some kind of
Well,
language in. We need to have some kind of I don't care
Well,
if
I'm
it-
going to make
So
the
I,
and I'll make the recommendation, and I don't know, I guess we're gonna have more discussion, but my recommendation is that you're a resident of Commerce Township to be on the Parks and Rec,
Not a property owner, a resident.
a resident.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right.
I'd like,
I don't know that we need to vote, Emily.
I'd
it's
like
up
to
you
be, I'd
guys.
like to be on record stating I don't agree.
Yeah, well,
I know, and what I was going to say was,
It is.
can we say to the board, whether it's tomorrow night or however, that it seems like that there was two, I mean, if you want to vote, we'll know what the vote is, but that we had two feelings. One was a property owner and the other was a resident. I think that's probably fair to pass on.
But to make sure that we're getting this correctly, is that right now there is no stipulation. It doesn't matter who you are, that we would like to see at least some sort of stipulation that you have to have a connection with Commerce Township in either on the tax rolls or, as you know, if you're a permanent resident, you are on the tax rolls. But as Linda stated, is that you do have a property listed in your name that you're paying taxes on in Commerce Township, which would give you a voice to say, express your opinion if you wanted to be on a board that, like you say, maybe you live next to a park, your property's next to a park, and you want to see that developed or continue for the rest of the area. Maybe your grandkids live in the area, in Commerce. I don't know. But the minimum I would say is you definitely have to own property.
And again, they are
So
appointed,
if you're a renter, then you can't be on the board,
I would say no.
but you're considered a
Mhm.
resident.
See, there
Here's
you go.
the question though, if they're
I
a
know.
renter in Commerce
How long are
Township,
you
can
gonna
they
be a
vote on
renter?
our millage?
So do you have to be a vote? Do you have to be a registered voter in Commerce Township then?
No, because
Bob, you're gonna pick that up
see,
tomorrow.
That's got to do with our millage and it's got to do with our parks. It's a can of worms, dude.
Yeah. Wow.
well, the beauty of this is there is a stopgap. If you've got an opening or two, is the board still has, or the administrator still has the right to, and
Appoint.
you have two applications in, and one's a resident and one's just an owner of property. They can always just pick the resident. But again, I'd
Yeah,
like
but
to,
that's not how it works.
Have something.
The supervisor makes the decision on who he or she wants, and then that is then sent to the township board for either voting yes or no. It's not, we don't get three, it's not like a job interview
Yeah,
where
but Larry
we see
does.
three people
Larry
and
gets
choose.
it. He
Larry does. In this case,
can sit there and say,
right,
okay,
whoever
this
the
person's-
supervisor is.
that-
Correct.
So that could be, what you want in all answers is the most qualified person to sit in the chair, I would think. But anyways, okay, I'm done.
Do we need to vote? We had a Passion and Burkheiser seconded. Do we need to vote, or are you going to withdraw your second, Bob?
No, go ahead and vote.
All right. So Debbie, go ahead and read the recommendation again.
Recommendation is to, sorry, let me locate it here. You would need to be a resident of Commerce Township to be on the Parks and Rec Committee.
Okay. Roll
Call
call.
vote.
Okay, Pesh,
Yes.
Burkheiser,
Yes.
Garbett,
I abstain.
Can't.
Barb, you can't, so legally you can't abstain. You have to go yes or no. We
No.
would have to vote to allow you to abstain.
Rachel's the only one that can abstain.
I was gonna say, can I abstain?
She doesn't
I guess
have
I'll
to.
say no
You don't
then.
have to though, because it's not about you supposedly.
Definitely not about her.
Henderson,
She's still
I
on?
think we lost her.
It looks like
No, I think we
lost her.
lost her.
yeah, we did, thank you. Okay, Wickert,
No?
Champagne,
No,
Cast,
I'm gonna
Yeah.
abstain.
okay.
what did Barb do?
I
Barb
said
is a
no.
Thanks, Barb.
Yeah, but that's 3-2, but we have total of 6, so I don't know that the math adds up on that. We'll have to leave it. But I think the
Yeah.
flavor to the township board, you know what the discussion was, Emily, so you
I
can
just wanted
summarize
the
it to them.
township board to know that we were divided on this.
For sure. I mean,
I understand and I'll reflect that when I talk about it. I feel like
I
I do
don't
that.
have a problem either way. I'm just kind of thinking I'm just
Right.
divided on this.
The only other side is that when someone moves out, do you allow them to stay on? So in this case for Rachel, do you allow them to stay on or do you make them leave? Well, if you're going to say you own property, then they could move. I don't care. Move to Silver Lake, Michigan. They're never going to, so I think that's something the township board needs to look at.
Bob, in many ways, I do not disagree with you, but I think what bothers me the most, and I know we should not talk about Rachel, but unfortunately, here's a person who has great things going on
Absolutely.
in the parks and that. And so it's really hard for me to say, I don't want. That's my biggest problem. Otherwise, I agree with you. I think we should live in the community.
That's why I say she's appointed for a term. She could run out her term and the other thing becomes effective when her term's up and she's not reinstated or something.
How many years do you have, Rachel, on your appointment?
That's a really good question.
I think you were just
2 or 3?
reappointed last year, weren't you?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell because I've been in a time warp for the past 10 months.
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So Emily, you got what you need now or not?
I'm gonna be on for discussion tomorrow night. We'll just share your concerns with the township board and go from there.
I have to admit that I was Rachel's teacher, so I mean, take my
Now
vote.
you're getting age. That's biased vote, both of you then. That's not fair.
This is hard for sure because I mean, obviously it's Rachel, and it's not meant to be about Rachel, and it's meant to.
No,
be
it's
about-
truly not about Rachel. It's, it's a policy that's going to be enforced from now on and down the road. And like I said, I always thought that you had to be a resident of Commerce Township to be on.
I did
committee.
too.
For asking that question.
Yeah, that's right. Why are we asking this question? I thought that was automatic.
We ready to move on to number 12, Emily?
I am.
All right, let's move on to number 12, Parks donation policy.
So this is going back to when we had the request to put the bench in over at Scarlet Smile, and we had further discussion on that we've been getting a lot of these requests, and we wanted to put together some kind of policy so that we didn't just have, X, Y, and Z benches put throughout the township. We want to have consistency through the parks. So I'm actually going to turn this over to Allison. Allison has done a lot of work working with surrounding communities, and she's put together a draft that's been included in your packet. for suggestions and a possible policy to move forward with.
All right, so I put something together roughly. There is missing information just because I kind of want an input from you guys and any suggestions that you thought we should go forward with. So I've included just a copy of what they use for Novi for their tree bench donations, and then also what they use for the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks. And then with that is also the benches that are currently at Scarlet Smile. So there's two options, the ones that are there. There's the one with the back, and then there's also a bench without a back. Both of them can come with a plaque. So the cost for the one
So
with,
Allison,
Yeah.
real quick, were there pictures in our packet? I don't see pictures. Did I miss them? The ones I saw.
Yep. Yeah, Tim's showing it
Okay.
right there. So farther back behind that, there should be pictures of the two
Yeah,
options.
I saw those too, but I didn't know if those were the ones suggested or if they were the ones that were in the whatever the ones you got from
So
Novi.
those are the
and-
ones
and
that
whatever.
are currently being used. Yes.
Those are
Hey,
the ones
Allison,
that
can
are
you
at
do this on a
Scarlet Smile
PowerPoint?
currently.
What's that?
Can you do this on a PowerPoint, Allison?
I'm not as good as the other people showing.
We
their
have.
I'm kidding, there. I'm kidding.
We can get an Eagle Scout to show you. how
Right,
to do it, I think.
exactly.
Oh,
So
thanks,
my
Emma.
concern on those, Allison, are that they're going to get up and walk away. Are they bolted down to this concrete slab?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, bolted.
And is that wood or is that like tech deck?
It's like a Trex deck type. Yeah. And
Okay, so it's like basically I'll call it no maintenance or low maintenance.
correct.
Okay.
Yep. So in with
And-
that packet too is the email from Kyle at Landscape Forms. It just kind of goes over the material, the maintenance form, which he really says there's no maintenance. And then with these particular benches, if any one of those particular slats has to be replaced, you can replace just individual slats. You don't then have to replace the entire bench. So kind of what we were wondering is on pricing, how you guys want to go about this. The one with the back is $15.90, and then the one without a back is $13.40. And then there was a 5% increase every year is what he has said. So it's going to be a matter of, do you want to have both options available? Do you only want to just stick with one? How much extra do you guys want to add on? Because we're gonna have to put in a cement slab. It'll be up to us to maintain them. Different aspects that will have to be included into the cost. So I didn't want to
So
just
Allison,
put a
is this
price on
also something that's projected to go in our trails, like on the airline trail, if somebody wanted to put a bench in there at mile 3 or something?
So
I mean,
the
is it
airline
those types
trail
of-
has their own that they were using. I'd have to check with the airline trail if it's something that if someone wanted to donate, we could include on the airline trail. I did not reach out to them about adding this there.
So
We
should
may include
should it be
theirs.
consistent through the township?
We could add their scope into this agreement or this policy also.
No.
Because I know the airline trail policy isn't just for Commerce Township.
Where does the plaque go on this bench?
On this one, he said it goes on the seating surface. It's recessed.
Okay.
And on the other one, it would go onto the back.
Well,
So
I
how
would
how
say-
big were you?
Go ahead, Bob.
Well, some of the stuff I read looked like it was granite slabs, and I know that's different things. So how big are you proposing? Is it just basically it's going to fit
So-
in one of those?
Well, the granite slab, that's what they were using in other, I think that's the one they use in Novi. So
Yeah.
for the ones that go with this bench, I'm trying to see, I don't see where he put it in here, but I know because he emailed me separately. the size of it, oh, I don't see it right here.
Would be, you
Well,
mean as far
I
as the
would
plaque
that would-
goes? The plaque would be the same size as what's currently over at Scarlet Smile. Let me see if I can, I sent that out at our last meeting. Let me see if I can find it.
But if it's
Well, I would-
recessed into the tech deck, it almost needs to be, I don't know what size those are, but
They're
3x4 or
not big.
whatever.
They're not very big. They're
So it's
like a 3 by 5
2 by 10 and only 1/16 of an inch deep. So it's almost just like
It's
a
what?
plaque.
So if you had it in recessed into there, how about water and snow getting in there? It wouldn't be flush. It would become a concave.
For the one without the back, yes.
Yeah. Unless they filled it with something to make it flush with the.
I'm sure they do, Bart.
Epoxy or something?
Yeah, I'm sure they do fill it. But I would say, my suggestion is that, if we're gonna make this a type of situation that somebody would want to buy to dedicate to someone, it includes the granite slab. So they're all uniform. Those aren't gonna go anywhere. I mean, you set it and you don't worry about cement, pouring forms, cement cracking, breaking up, put the slab in. That's part of the deal. You want to buy a bench, you buy a bench like this. This is what it comes with.
You mean total package as far as a person that wants to do this?
Right.
Sponsorship,
Yes.
okay.
I think it
I
should be
think
total
also-
package. It should include the slab. It should include the plaque. There should be a leeway for the amount of time. I don't know, is it 2 hours to put in? 2 hours with 2 people? I don't
Yeah.
know. Do we pay for that? Our maintenance guys, $50 for 2 hours. I mean, it's going to be more than that. So whatever that is, and I think that's cost. And then you're going to have to bump it up a little bit because we don't want to change the price every year when
Right.
prices go up. So
Allison, what did the Metro Park, I mean, just give us a price comparison because at first I was in sticker shock of these benches.
Right.
And then
So
and she brought to our attention what the other policies were. Ours aren't so bad. So
right, so just the bench itself without factoring in all of the other, putting it in, the maintenance, all that kind of stuff. So the one with the back is $1,500. Once you add everything else in, say we put it at $3,000. The Metro Parks for one of their benches is $5,150 is the minimum donation for a recognition bench. And then in the city of Novi, their bench is $2,100.
I think no matter what we decide, I think the benches with the backs are much nicer than these.
that much
I don't-
more.
I kinda like
I
having
think
a-
it depends on where it is.
I like having a choice.
I think I was going to say, I think it depends on where it is. I think we, the township, need to decide what is an appropriate bench. I mean, if you're on a trail, a bench without a back might be useful because, you're on either side of it. If it's something like, maybe it's something at Dodge Park, you could be sitting out near the watching the games, you could sit on either side. I mean, watching it, whereas maybe there's one that you need to have a back with. So I do think we need to make both available.
I agree.
But I think if someone's trying to put one with the back in an area where we would prefer it to be other, then we should be able to nix that, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, I would say that's correct, Bob. Is that we'll have designated areas where benches with backs would go and other areas where benches without backs could go.
Yeah.
If
So
somebody-
Allison, how much
if
is
somebody's gonna
how much
spend
is the one?
$3,500?
Allison, take this off the screen.
How much is the one that's on the screen?
That one is $1,340 and then a plaque is $175.
But that's just
So,
the
and
bench.
then
It
I-
doesn't include the granite.
No.
Correct, that's just the bench. And I mean, our maintenance staff could assemble it and install it. But we need to factor in the slab.
And the other one by your readout here says it's $1,590 and
Correct.
$225 for a plaque. Okay.
Right, yeah.
So ballparking, you're looking at ballpark for the other one is about $2,000, and that may or may not include the slab. So you're looking at, if we're trying to be reasonable, you're looking at what, $2,500 and $2,000 maybe for the other one? Does that sound right?
I'd say roughly, yeah.
And what does the cost go up? 5% every year
Or-
is roughly what the cost goes up?
It's not our goal to make money on these, right?
No, but we just don't want to have to change.
Oh.
We just don't want to have to change paperwork all the time.
Well,
I think we ought to cover the bench, the slab, the plaque, and there ought to be whatever amount of time is appropriate. If we actually have to build them and then it takes 2 guys 2 hours to install them, I mean, I think that should be sort of included. And then we can have a fun site, and so whatever's left over stays in there for benches and other park stuff.
The benches do come fully assembled, so the bench itself
okay.
does not need to be put together.
Okay.
Mark, is your back strong enough to lift one of those slabs?
No kidding.
I think that's a yes. He's silent.
He's laughing.
Oh, he can do what he says, huh?
You and that big guy that's your helper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he can do it himself, right?
Yeah.
So are you
We-
guys thinking more of a granite slab is what it sounds like as opposed to a cement slab?
Yes.
well, access could be a problem
think
for a
it-
cement slab.
Well,
You'd have,
cement deteriorates. Granite's been around here since God, so that's not going to break down.
I think that's going to affect your cost. I mean, I don't know what a granite slab is going to cost, but I can't imagine that it's cheap.
You know, but they might have slate, they might have some other stone, but I'm saying that it should be a uniform slab, that these guys aren't digging up the ground, are pouring forms and having to do cement that you got to maintain, and cement cracks and breaks and falls apart. It's not the best material out there. If we're going to have this thing, make it a package with whatever stone that's going to be, but have that slab preset. So Mark and the maintenance crew would know, okay, we got to make a 3x5, 2 inches deep, for every one's going to be the same, and drop it in and put the bench on it.
What's the intent of having a slab? Why is it on a slab? Is it just so we don't have to cut grass underneath and all that, or?
The bolted
Well,
down.
I mean, I get that on these style, but you can get a style that actually you sit into the ground. It's got posts, and you go into the ground and concrete it in. I mean, we could do something. We could pick something like that too. This just happens to match what's out at
Right. This is the most recent.
what is it called? The
benches we've
restroom
installed.
area.
Correct.
Okay.
well, it depends on
But
how many.
we've got
benches-
some on our trails.
I think
What are
it'd
the
be
ones
hard-
we have on the trail there?
you'd
They're
be
like
hard pressed to get
PVC
somebody to pay $5,000 for this with a, if it's a costly venture for somebody to donate a $5,000 bench.
Well, yes, it is. But if you want the bench, that's what it costs.
I think you're looking at 2,500 and 3,000 maybe to cover all those, if that's what or maybe 2,500 and 2,200. I don't know.
I don't know what the slab would cost. That's the other factor. So
Okay, well, we can get research on a slab. We can maybe look at another type of bench. We were just trying to stay consistent with what's been installed recently. So then the other piece to this was the tree.
Also
donating.
adding trees, yep.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's almost 50-50 between the phone calls we get to donate either a tree or a bench. So to add into this, the second part is to donate a memorial tree, and then how you guys want to proceed with that. So I included in there some native trees to Michigan and the trees that they use in some of the other parks. Do you guys want to be that specific to only allow certain types of trees?
Well, I noticed they don't have ginkgo here.
They don't have what?
Ginkgo that we have in the library.
We're trying to stay away from weeds. I don't know.
Ada?
I mean, if there's something that you guys want to add, then we'll just add that in there. I mean, this is just what other communities were using that we were kind of going off of. So if there's a specific tree that is in one of our parks now that you want to make sure is part of the list, then we'll do that. We can add those.
So Allison, on some of these, I mean, we've been moving towards deciduous, is that the right way to say it? Trees, instead of just pine trees that are good for 20 years or 15 years or however long they last. The other is what size? I mean, you know, there's the county, whatever that thing is that we just got an email on to buy trees like the Eagle Scout project that was put in, but those things are like sticks. So are we talking about a
tree
6-foot tree?
Yeah, I would say most other communities, and not even just around here, even throughout the country when I've been looking, most places that have a tree donation program will guarantee a tree of at least 2 to 3 inches in diameter. So we could set how big of a tree we want, not necessarily in height, how big the trunk is.
Yeah, the caliber, right.
Yeah,
I think
I think the key is on the tree, on how long the tree lasts. I mean, generally, they guarantee them for a year, but if that thing dies in 2 years, then I sort of feel the township's responsible in some fashion, or maybe not. What do you see out there? What happens if they die in 2 or 3 years?
Most of them are only guaranteed. Most of the other communities will only guarantee a tree for the first year. Some are 2, and that if it does not survive that first, whatever it is, year or 2, then the township will replace it at the township's cost. Anything after that, unfortunately, it's part of that we can't guarantee the survivability of the tree.
But that's a cost factor is that maintenance is going to have to go out and water. And granted, we do have watering bags, but it is it's more man hours that our maintenance department has to put out.
Something to add into the cost of their tree donation.
Yep.
And is this plaque, for lack of a term, is it a granite slab that goes down?
No, so
whatever you call it.
Really different communities kind of do it differently. So it's however you guys would choose. I know at the metro parks, the plaque does not even go by the tree. The plaque is just hung in the park office.
Yeah, I'll add comment to that. We had a donation tree program with the plaque going on the ground by the tree at Edgewood. You know, memorial plaques and this and that. And all they were was a headache for the grounds crew. Hit them with a mower, having a weed whack around them. So we did do what you're talking about, Allison. We put up a big brass plaque with a tree, and when you put your tree in, the location of the tree and a placard attached to that big sign, I guess, for lack of better terms. So there are no more plaques stuck in the ground or near the tree that was donated.
I think that's a good idea because I have been a part of several trees that have been planted in memorials for people. And it doesn't take long for those little plaques to be knocked down and gone. And then nobody knows they've ever been planted there in their honor. So I agree that we need to do it a different way than sticking it in the ground.
Sounds like a good idea, Barb.
I agree
And
with that
the trees
concept.
that we've donated have been a decent size and they've been about $350. And the people you buy them from plant them and see that they're done correctly.
The other thing about trees is we probably as a park board should identify where we would like to put trees. Because what you don't want to do is have the person that's donating them make the decision they want it by that sign at Commerce Township on M5. If we were to pick, we put some places where they can pick that we feel they need shade tree or a pine tree, or then they can look at a chart and say, that's where I want Dad's tree.
So as part of this, essentially they're just picking the type of tree they would like and in which park they want it. And then it would be up to either the parks board or the parks director to determine the final location. Then once the tree is planted, they would receive something on where the final location of the tree is.
Sounds good. What else we need to do, Emily?
If this is something you want to move forward with, or if you want us to bring it back next month with other bench options, I guess we need direction on where you want to go with that piece. Sounds like everybody's happy with the tree piece of it. If you want us to bring the bench piece back next month, we can do that. Then it needs to go to the township attorney for review, and then it'll have to go to the township board for final approval.
Yeah, I think we need to gather some more information on the bench situation, you know, what the cost of a slab would be, or if there's multiple options besides a granite slab, what the total cost of a bench would be. And
What's your idea on the bench itself?
I would like to see a uniform bench. I don't care what it is, as long as it's nice, durable, and is uniform from now on.
I like these benches because you can replace the slats.
I like them too.
Where the other benches, it's all or nothing when one goes bad. It's not to say there's not another option out there, and we'll look into that. But I like the idea of being able to fix parts of a bench and just not have to get rid of it or get a whole new bench when that day comes.
Yeah,
I agree.
So Emily,
had those benches, how long have those benches been available, and how long they anticipate those benches being available?
For the ones that are at Scarlet Smile,
that company.
The company's been around for a long time. I don't know about the specific bench, but we can find out, and we can find out what the lifespan of the bench is.
Or maybe purchase some extra slats so that you're guaranteed that you've got extra slats going into the future.
Toby in here, so
Emily, we have two benches, or I think it's two, but over by sort of by a library. It's on a path that heads out to the walking path. So I think it was put in by, I'm going to say Rotary. I don't know who put them in. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but those type of benches, I mean, they last forever. I mean, I've never, they're coated and they're mounted into the ground. So I think if we're trying to match stuff, which we probably should, that's around Scarlet and in that particular area, maybe in this park, you try to match those benches, but in other parks or trails, we put something like that in where we can just concrete the sucker into the ground and be done. So if there's options like that out there,
okay, those are just the
it might be
PVC
good to
covered.
at least look at them.
Okay.
I don't know what they are.
Yes, the
those
one in
specific
Long Park is really in good shape. It's been there for, I don't know how many years. So take a look at that one, I guess, if you could get near it.
I bought one for my dad up on our Oak Island Park, and he died 13 years ago, and it's still in perfect condition, and it's not on any slab. So
Is it the PVC coated bench?
it's the one where they embed, they put in the memorial. They draw, they etch it in.
Well, and
So
that's another thing though, that you brought up a good point. Is that something you want, or do we want to stick to the plaque?
Well,
I
whatever,
personally
gotta be
think
uniform.
You gotta be
plaque
consistent.
is the way to go.
But I could have chosen to have a plaque on that.
But that is something we need to decide. That is a committee we need to decide.
Experience, can I tell you? I have been part of putting up those kinds of benches with the plaques on. Eventually, the name seems to be, if it's in the sun, it'll disappear. It takes a few years, but it will happen. And also because it's screwed in, it may not last if somebody will sort of just kind of pull it out. So I think to etch it in is a much better way to do it.
So Allison, I can't remember which one I read. There was something in there that we were only, quote, guaranteeing the plaque or the whatever for 10 years. Now, is that in ours or was that in someone else's?
So I had included that, but that's just because most other communities do that. So they have a donation period or time frame, I guess, for it. And then after that, say 10 years, if the bench still remains there, it's still a good bench, the person can redonate to have their plaque remain on it, or it can then be donated by someone else and the plaque would be removed with a new name added to it.
I spent $3,000 and after 10 years, they're gonna let somebody else put in.
Right.
I'd be a little.
I sort of agree with Linda's
We'll get another
intent. I think if
3,000
we're,
of them.
I think, yeah, we're going to get Linda's $3,000 again. So I would, I think it should, you know, they're buying the bench, they're putting it in, etch it in there, and hopefully it lasts.
And when
50
the
years.
bench
say
dies,
etch it
it
in.
goes away.
So the benches that you guys are comparing it to actually say, do they say Rotary or Lakes or right in
Whatever
the
it says.
like in the background of the bench?
Right.
And it's not exactly appealing. Is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about like actually engraving it into the material of the bench instead of putting a plaque that can be unscrewed? Is that what you mean? Okay.
It is laser cut into the bench.
So that's what you have. So we could come over and look at the bench, or you
I
could
will
send
send
me a
you
picture.
pictures tomorrow.
All right. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page.
I'll just send you pictures of what I'm talking about. I don't know if it's what everybody else.
Again, on something of that nature, it's got to be uniform. I mean, I don't want the whole backside of a bench
Yeah.
engraved with a memorial.
It'll have to be within a size.
Yes.
Well, it sounds like we need to bring this up again next month then.
Okay. We
I
can do
agree.
that.
All right. Let's move on to number 13, other matters. Anyone have any other matters? All right. Do we have any motions to stop the meeting?
I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second. Linda.
Motion by Tesh and second by Champagne to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Wait, does this have to be a roll
8 p.m.
call?
on the nose.
Roll call, Debbie.
Thank you. Pesh,
Aye.
Champagne,
Yes.
Garbett,
Aye.
Wickert,
Yes.
Burkeiser,
No. I'm kidding. Go ahead and put yes.
Throw it around.
thank you. Cast,
Yes.
and we don't have Henderson. Okay, see you next month. Thank
Bob's
you.
staying on though. Bob's gonna stay on, so keep the Zoom going.
I am. Keep it on. I'm saying, man. I thought, I told my wife this would be an hour and we've been what, 2 hours? Not
Well, we
even.
didn't have a meeting last month, so we had to cover multiple.
There you go.